Hello and welcome to another ScienceMan digital tip. Today's tip is on faking animation for desktop capture videos. Okay, so what I want to talk about today is faking animation. Now, if you're a professional animator, you shouldn't be listening to this video because you don't need my advice. What I'm talking about here is everyday Joes who want to put a little bit of motion and activity into their desktop captures. And what I find is that good old Photoshop works great for this. And what you have to realize is that if you've never worked with Photoshop, it's organized, the graphics are organized in layers. So to give you an example of that, here's a video I created, a tutorial on pressure. And I'm just going to grab the progress bar for this video and speed it up a bit. And you can see that things are moving around and appear on the screen. And this is all accomplished with Photoshop. And it's done very, very easily. I'll show you how. Just move my presentation here for a minute and bring up Photoshop. Now here's the blank screen that's associated with that pressure demonstration. But if we look over in our layers palette, I can make the different layers visible simply by clicking on them. So here I've got all my layers active. Another neat thing about Photoshop is there is a auto select that you can use to auto select a layer. It's right up here in the top left hand part of the screen, depending on what version of Photoshop you're using. But if you activate that, anytime you click on a particular layer, it automatically becomes active, and then you can move it and drag it around the screen, which can be really convenient for illustrating things in your desktop capture. So as you add graphics to your desktop capture, whatever it is you're planning to do, put them in layers, and it's a nice way to get some activity into your desktop capture. Now, there are some neat ways you can do to take it up a notch. So, if you want to go beyond and make things a little bit more fancy, you can look at things like Prezi, or if you're a math or science geek, you can look at stuff like Yanka and Algodo. Now, how can something like Prezi help you do some animation? Well, easiest way is just to show you a really good example. Here's one I found on gravitational potential energy. Now, what you can do is build a Prezi presentation. Again, if you've never been, you've never constructed a Prezi, just go to Prezi, Prezi.com, and start playing. And here in this particular presentation, you can see that the different screens zoom in, zoom out, and they twist and turn on a couple of them. Just get to a couple here that move sideways even. There we go. And they zoom in significantly. And what you can do with this is as you're desktop capturing your Prezi, you can go ahead and narrate it. So that's a very simple way to get some animation into your desktop video. Use Prezi. Again, for the math and science geeks here, I really love Yanka if you're trying to illustrate mathematical concepts. For instance, here I've got Yanka open, and I'm going to drag a sphere and a hemisphere and a cube and a semi-cylinder on the page, and they don't look like much until you alter the view. I'm just going to twist this so that we change our view. There we go. And now we can see we've got a beautiful 3D representation. I'm just going to drag a cone on here as well. And we can bring some prisms onto the screen. And what's really nice for the mathematics teacher is if you're showing a surface area, you can drag paints onto particular surfaces just to highlight a particular part of an object that you're looking at. And we even have our our nets and things like that where we can break down objects. And believe it or not, they even have characters built into this program. So if I take this individual here, I can turn him around and I can make him walk forward and stop him and turn him and move him around. And it's amazing what they have built into this software. So again, if you're using this for math or science, the science stuff will blow you right out of the water within Yanka. If you're having to do anything in a desktop capture involving science, Yanka can be very, very helpful. There's a new player on the field too, and that's Algodo, and this is very nice for just illustrating almost anything in the world. For instance, here I'm just going to make a little bucket with Algodo, and you can get going with this with almost no training. So I'm just going to turn my object here that I've created. I'm going to liquefy it, and then when I run this presentation, you can see I have a nice container filled with water, and I can add more objects and dunk them into the water. I can add more and more, and I can change things like density for these objects. Here we're going to have an object that is made of steel, and I'll have an object here that's made of wood. And then I'll run my presentation, run my little simulation, and here I've got a nice floating object of wood, and I can even move these objects around and play with them. So there's some real exciting possibilities if you want to get some motion and activity into your desktop captures. Thanks for viewing this ScienceMan digital tip.